I am the famous American, and I think it would be interesting if we were to explore this conversation in which we are talking about two different things: same-sex attraction and choosing gender pronouns. So, I'm an outsider in this conversation, which I think could possibly make me a good host. And up front, I'm offering you the opportunity to leave a comment after you've watched this video to know what we're talking about here. So let's check this out. Same-sex attraction, not to be conflated with a person who is gay. Same-sex attraction, for example, if it is a man who is attracted to other men, whether or not he acts on it, he's attracted to other men. Whereas the majority of men are not, this man is. Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean he's gay, because maybe he never acts on it. He's attracted to other men, but he doesn't act on it, and he chooses to marry a woman and live a straight life. Now, this is something I actually saw on a series on TLC a couple years ago about men who are Mormon out in Utah who choose to marry women. Even though they're attracted to other men, they choose to marry women, and these women are aware of the fact that their husbands are attracted to men, and they make that decision. So that would be an example of someone who's not gay, right? Because especially if you're not acting on it, then I guess that just means it's same-sex attraction. It's not necessarily gay. So if you can track with me so far, where we're at this concept of what same-sex attraction is, okay. On top of that though, we have this new phenomenon of choosing one's gender. Now, for the majority of people on this planet, it's very straightforward. When we were born, we knew what our gender was. I mean, even though we were babies, our parents knew what our gender was. It was very straightforward. It was assumed that we'd be attracted to the opposite sex. Okay, that's the majority, but we're not talking about the majority here necessarily. So, let's imagine this concept, because I'm already getting confused. Here we go. Let's assume someone looks like me and was born as a male, as we would know what that would mean. Yet I would identify as having a female gender. Let's just assume, for the sake of this conversation, that I identified as a female, despite what I look like and sound like, that I identify as female. And then I end up attracted and marrying a female as we would know it. Okay? Someone that looks like Scarlett Johansson, because a lot of people say that my wife does. Or Jessica Biel. A lot of people say that my wife looks like her as well. Okay, so we've got someone who looks like a man and talks like a man and was born as a male, but identifies as a female. And ends up with someone who we would say physically is a woman. So, what would that make me? Would that make me gay? Would that be same-sex attraction? What exactly would that mean? Because if we weren't talking about choosing gender pronouns, we would ultimately see a man who's attracted to a woman, which is the norm. But what offsets it is if I identified as a female. So that's interesting. To take it to a next step, we have Caitlyn Jenner, who was born as a male, lived much of her life as a male, then transitioned into becoming a woman. And who is against gay marriage. So that's confusing and problematic, because she would be against marrying another woman, because if she chose to be with a man, which one means it's same-sex attraction there? See, that's really confusing, because ultimately it's like a straight man saying that he identifies as a lesbian. Like, could that happen? Well, if we're choosing gender pronouns, I guess it is possible. Could a straight man identify as a lesbian? Which ultimately would mean that he's attracted to women, which is what would be assumed he was to begin with. But if he identifies as a lesbian, he's identifying as ultimately being a woman who's attracted to other women, even though he has the body parts of a male. See, look, Here's the end of the video. There's no conclusion that I can bring to you. All I'm saying is, when you combine same-sex attraction and you combine gender pronouns, I guess there are no rules. There are no real answers to this. And I'm just stating that. Can any of you make sense of that? Because clearly I'm not claiming to have any answers. I'm trying to figure out how these concepts coexist. Same-sex attraction and choosing gender pronouns. Your comments belong right here.